pioneer of synth rock, the electronic sound that changed the charts in the late 1970s. Gary Numan was hated by the music press but loved by his fans, who bought hits like Cars and Our Friends Electric in their millions.
Well, Numan has always shied away from revisiting his early material, but now he's relented. For the first time in more than 30 years, he's touring with a selection of his best-known tracks. Andy Bevan chatted to him just before he went on stage this weekend at Warwick University.
Gary Numan makes a few final sound checks, something the 58-year-old first did before autonomous cars, mobile phones, and even CDs were invented. His fans start to file in, eager to see and hear their idol up close. Some of them loyal for more than 30 years. In 1979, Gary Numan portrayed a stark vision of the future, cold, robotic, paranoid, but it brought him instant global fame.
All of a sudden you're number one and everyone knows who you are, and that's kind of what you wanted, and it's great. There's no money at that point, that comes later, but eventually there's money, and fantastic.
He bought the Rockstar mansion, drove the Corvette given to him by his record company, and racked up gold discs from hit after hit. But while the public lapped it up, the music press slapped Numan down, calling him a novelty act and his use of synthesizers gimmicky. In 1981, he threw in the touring towel and retired from performing live, signing off with 3 sellout nights at Wembley Arena.
This has been the greatest 2 years I've ever had.
So that was supposed to be that.
It felt entirely out of control for the first 2 years, and so I wanted to get rid of the bit that I thought was spoiling it, which was the fame part of it was ruining my love of making music.
Gary turned to his other passion, flying, becoming an acclaimed display pilot, but carried on recording and occasionally playing live. In 1997, he married Gemma O'Neill, a longtime Numan superfan, their wedding making the pages of Hello magazine, and the couple now have 3 daughters. The family recently moved to Los Angeles, their journey documented in a new film called An Android in La La Land, currently in selected cinemas.
You look old when you don't have makeup on. You look nice when you look young when you have makeup on.
Oh, really?
The film is part rock doc, it's part love story, it's part road trip, and it's part therapy session. But just because you've written Cars doesn't mean to say, that all kind of domestic woes disappear from your life, because you've written Cars.
Numan says there are large parts of the film he dislikes, but in it he speaks about having Asperger's, thought by some to explain his emotionless 80s stage persona. Gary, though, insists the condition has helped rather than hindered him.
We're obsessive. Brilliant. That's fantastic. If you're in the music business, that's a great trait to have. And being able to feel things very, very deeply is very useful for writing. But this way of being able to just separate emotion and move it to one side. I don't know how many, if you've ever read really, really bad reviews, but that's a really useful thing to have. Well, I'll just put that over there for now, and I'll get back to that later. Carry on going.
His most recent album, Splinter, Songs from a Broken Mind, was testament to his condition, but it put Numan back in the top 20 album chart, with reviews calling it his best work in 30 years. Mixed in with these fans, many of whom have been here since the start, are some who weren't even born the first time around. So, why is Gary revisiting the old music, and why now?
Splinter comes along. It's now meant that I can look back on my history and go, yes, something to be proud of, actually, now that I'm free of it. And all these people that talk about it as being innovative and talk about me as being a pioneer, which I've been like that about, now I can just go back and go, yeah, that was me, actually.
He might have taken 37 years to convince himself, but dozens of other artists say they've been inspired by Numan, some even sampling his classic hits. After this tour, Gary will return to LA to work on his next album, inviting his fans to monitor its progress online. Back in 1980, of course, Numan's version of the future didn't predict the internet, but neither did it foresee a career that would span and influence a generation of music history. Andy Bevan, ITV News.
And if you're still in search of innovation, we've got a weather forecast.
Yeah, so it's great watching that. It's great to be able to write a song where the hook line gets sampled by so many different artists.